You know, a friend of mine, when he was a young man, I'm a few years older than he is, he got into a thing with his girlfriend. Found out there had been some infidelity. And the funny thing about love is that love can turn to hate so fast. Because probably the day before, he'd had no problem telling me how much he loved this girl. But that moment when he heard that she had laid down with someone else, all that love evaporated so fast, and it turned into a weird seething type of hate. Now, he was quite emotional in his response, and the reason he was talking to me is because I was that solid one that would talk him off the ledge, because he was prone to do something stupid, which he almost did. Thank God for therapy, not only for myself, but for him, learning to deal with a lot of those negative emotions and not place them in the wrong place. Because at first, he spoke from a place that I could not defend. It sounded dangerous. It sounded like the police were going to be involved and I was going to be a witness, and I didn't want no parts of none of that. No. Don't give me the cheddar biscuits and the lobster. Like, and what I thought was, ooh, tell me, you got some more of that butter? No, I didn't want no parts of that. But the strange thing was, after this incident, where, now they're broke up, he done left her alone, he was in denial about the situation. And I don't know if it was that he was trying to convince himself or trying to convince me. Because whenever we spoke about it, apparently I was in the wrong on how far out of whack the situation had gotten, and that he was on his way to jail if it was not for my intervention. He even denied how he felt about her. It's almost like he was trying to erase this entire situation from his heart and his mind. And when I watched this first episode of Adolescence, that was the first thing I thought of. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steve, nupefromdaville, and I'm here to talk to you about Adolescence. This is a limited series. This is episode 1. Now, the episodes are simply titled episode 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's only 4 episodes. Episode 1, we find out about Jamie Miller. He's a 13-year-old boy who is arrested in his home on suspicion of murder of his classmate, Katie Leonard. The thing that they do in this particular series, actually, is that they employ what's called a one-shot, which means that from the time after the credits, when it opens up, the camera turns on and the camera just follows. They never turn the camera off. There are no cuts. There are no, how you see on movie sets, cut and we go to the next scene. There's none of that. The camera goes the entire time, whatever, the 50 some odd minutes, it goes the entire time. It just follows the action, which means that every actor, everything on the set has to be 100%. And even if you flub your line, you keep it moving because we're invested. So all the actors have to be on point. It is an incredibly technical achievement. And they did all 4 episodes like this. Like, it was amazing because the actors were so good. We get introduced to young Jamie Miller. We get introduced to the 2 detectives who bring him in, DS Bascombe and Franks. We've seen D.I. Bascombe before as Ashley Walters, who was magnificent in Top Boy. We see another fantastic but underrated actor in Stephan Graham. Stephan Graham was Tommy, Jason Statham's partner in Snatch, which is probably what he's most famous for. But Stephan Graham is a magnificent actor, very underrated. And I know that in America, we're probably not as familiar with him as we are some of the other, gems that come from there, like Gary Oldman, who's magnificent. Jamie Miller is played by Owen Cooper, and this is his first gig. This is his first booking, and man, does he kill it. Now, you don't really get the full sense of who he is or what he's up against. They take him down to the station, and the whole time, the police are the most polite police I've ever seen in my life. I was like, wow. Not that I want to get in trouble anywhere, but if I did, it needs to be in England. Maybe. I don't want to get in trouble anywhere. I don't want no problems with no police nowhere. We get to see not only Ashley Walters, but also Faye Marsay as DS Frank. She's the detective sergeant. Ashley Walters, the detective inspector. They're both quite excellent. We just saw Faye Marsay in an episode of Last Christmas, the episode of Doctor Who. Funny timing. Wow. Jamie is allowed to have an adult with him in the room while he's questioned. They're waiting on a lawyer, which they call solicitor. They're waiting on all of this to go down. He chooses his father. His mother was a bit more emotional. Like, his father put on this facade. He put on this face to stay strong and just present this pillar of strength, not only for his son, who's being accused of this horrible thing, but to be strong for his wife and his daughter. The funny thing about it is men are just as emotional as women, sometimes even more. As you heard from my opening story about my partner who is extremely emotional. I know it's a lot of times you think that women are emotional and men are logical. And in some cases that may be true. However, men have been taught, societally wise, culturally wise, that maybe it's not as accepted to talk about emotions, to talk about feelings, and to present this pillar of strength. Because still at the end of the day, a man is going to be a man and do man things. And our job as a father, as a husband, is to protect my family. That job would not fall upon my wife. That job would not fall upon my daughter to protect the family. It's my job to protect the family and do the best that I can. And that's not about, these weird roles that we have in society. You say what you want, but as far as I'm concerned, that would be my role in the family. So if my son is in trouble, my job is to be strong for him, to show him I have your back. I'm with you. I will be strong for you. You can make it out of this. We will make it out of this as a family. One of the most heartbreaking scenes was they questioned the son. His son, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything wrong. And they questioned him about this little girl, Katie. Then they start showing him CCTV footage, closed circuit TV. And they showed him following her, questioning her, getting into it with her. And then they showed a video of him, apparently, allegedly, it is him stabbing this girl several times. It's not easy to watch. The father doesn't break all the way down. But he's devastated because when no one else was in the room, when it was just the father and the son, and he's like, listen, I'm with you, but I need to know, what are these people talking about? Because they still hadn't told him what exactly his son had done. He needed to know right then, listen, if you did it, tell me and we'll deal with it. The boy said, I didn't do anything wrong. And then they both watched the video. The video was devastating. It's almost, if you watch the way that Jamie watches the video, it's almost like he's having an out-of-body experience. He almost doesn't believe what he's seeing. It's almost, he didn't say it, but it's almost like at some point he wants to say, is that me? That can't be me. I didn't do that. That's not me. Even though we can clearly see, no, that's you. The father knows right away, and he is devastated. His son, just a few minutes ago, told him without a shadow of a doubt, he did not do this. So many emotions would flood the father, the son, at that moment. Not the police. The police are sitting there, the detectives, they had damn near a full SWAT raid on his house to bring him in. He's a dangerous suspect. He murdered a girl in cold blood, stabbed her multiple times, and they have the video to prove it. They were not surprised. That was the reason why they came to his house with a show of force. Even though, I must admit, when they came to his house and they let him out, he was not in handcuffs, they didn't rough him up, I was like, oof, they need to come and teach some of the American police, my God. Where do you go from there? Guess we'll have to see in episode 2. You know that I love my quotes, and I only have one, and it's about denial, and it is, people have a habit of inventing fictions they will believe wholeheartedly in order to ignore the truth that they cannot accept. I'm calling this Media Therapy Deep Dive, It Wasn't Me. And we're talking about denial. Now, the definition of denial is the action of declaring something to be untrue. It's a statement that something is untrue. And it's the refusal of something requested or desired. If you saw Jamie's face, he was in denial of not only the actions that he committed, but that he had any part in this, really. The father seemingly wanted to be in denial, but for a different reason. And I'm only imagining that as a father, if I'm sitting in a room with my son who is accused of something that egregious, unfortunately, the first thing a father does is blame himself. It's not about, listen, I'm not trying to judge my son. You start to think back. How did I miss it? How did I raise this person who now sitting right next to me is seemingly a stranger? How could he do these things? That's not how we raised him. Who taught him to do this? Who taught him this level of brutality, this level of savagery? I thought that I told him every day that I loved him. I thought I gave him hugs. I thought I encouraged him. I thought I supported him. How could he do this? How could I have missed it? That's what a parent would do. And I think it's the same for an active father as well as a mother. You don't want to believe that your child is capable of something like that. You know that story I told in the beginning, my partner really almost, when we spoke of his ex-girl and the whole incident, he would look me dead in the face and tell me that it didn't happen. And I was like, do you hear yourself? Like, I wish I had videotaped you crashing out and acting a complete donkey. He's like, it didn't happen. And I don't know if that's some sort of like a defense mechanism, but it's clearly one of those things that needs therapy. And I don't know, because once you get to that point, is that something that therapy can even cure? You protecting either your heart or your head. And the thing is, it's hard because in order to combat that within yourself, you have to tear the wall down and expose it. And most people will fight you tooth and nail to not expose that kind of vulnerability. And that's not just a man thing. Even though it seems more prevalent in males, it's not just a man thing. No one wants to admit to expose that sort of vulnerability. It's hurt, it's pain. So the rest of us, we start making up reasons. We start coming up with all sorts of different things to explain why, because it's not normal. I mean, really, what is normal these days? But it's not normal. Someone who is that ticked off, that angry by words, actions, and it causes you to take out a knife and stab one repeatedly. And that's a crime of passion, maybe even temporary insanity, but it's close quarters. It's personal. There's also a tinge of rage there. What do you do with that? This first episode, technical aspects alone, was absolutely killer. After this, whatever 50 however many minutes it was, episode 1, I was completely invested. Now the thing is, I was a middle school teacher, taught math and social studies for 19 years. I've seen a lot. And when I say a lot, I do mean a lot. And a lot of times I don't talk about some of the more serious things I've seen, just because I know a good number of my students pay a little bit of attention to my page. Now, even when I say stuff and I tell stories, I try not to put anybody's name in it, because I'm not trying to put anybody's business out there on Front Street. So unless they tell me point blank, hey, was that story about me? And I'd be like, yeah. If they tell me I can share their name, I will. But most of the time I don't do that. I want to keep it vague, because they're all good examples of things that other people have done, or, you know, they're very familiar, similar situations for other people. Denial is a, you know, there's a saying, you know, denial is not just a river in Egypt. And it's a funny saying, but it's a very toxic behavior. And I know that's a buzzword now. People will cry and say, you know, you're so toxic. Now, what does that mean? And it just, you know, you're just not right. You're just toxic, man. What does that mean? To have toxicity. It means that sometimes you're not good for other people. Hell, you're probably not even good for yourself. Cigarettes are toxic. It is literally a substance that can kill you. There is a warning on the side of them. Yet, for some reason, people still smoke the hell out of them. They tell you on the side, we put these harmful chemicals in these things. Not only do we want to get you addicted, but these things will kill you. They're so powerful, they can kill other people who are close to you who don't even smoke. Yet, people still smoke them. I think, and I'm not sure, I'm not going to look it up, not sure, but I think there's more deaths caused every year by, like drunk driving, by alcohol. Yeah, that does not stop people from drinking and driving. You would think if you knew better, you'd do better, but they don't. They're still drinking, they're still driving. Because a lot of times you don't pay attention to something until it directly affects you. That's one of the reasons why I think this Adolescence series is so magnetic to a lot of people. A lot of people have no idea what's going on in the school system, whether it's private or public. And I taught 19 years in the public school system, in the 14th largest school district in the United States. I've seen a lot. Kids are something else. And no, they don't all have the privilege of coming from a good household with two loving parents and a loving sibling and being, for the most part, generally a good kid. Because these kids are being raised different than what we are being raised. If you are a parent, your kids are being raised different than how you were raised. And hopefully, whatever good you got out of how you were raised, you are instilling and putting that into your kids. We weren't raised on social media. We didn't carry around computers in our pockets. They're called cell phones. We didn't. We didn't have cyberbullying, where people could bully you from afar. Some punk shit. Bullying, I think, has been in schools forever. And whether you were a bully or getting bullied, or even worse, someone in the middle who didn't take a stand and didn't do shit. Because yes, that's worse than both. No one should be bullied. And no one for damn sure has the right to be a bully to someone else. But even worse is if you watch this happen every day and allow it to take place. Because you say, as long as they don't bother me, as long as the focus is not on me, not my business. And unfortunately, that's the position a lot of these kids are in now. They internalize all this hate, all this pain from people coming for them. If you go back and watch Centel and my reaction, I had never really heard of this incels, this involuntary celibacy. This shit is wild. It is a new day. And kids are suffering. They need a support system. Jamie, my partner, is almost like a mental block came up to protect their fragile hearts, their fragile minds from what they had done, what they potentially could have done. My partner, it could have gotten bad, and he was fortunate I was there to talk him out of some dumb shit that would change the course of his life. Jamie was isolated, and he was not around any of his friends who maybe could have, or maybe they'd have been accomplices. I don't know. Check on your strong friends. Check on your weak friends. And the thing is, you may be one of those two, a strong friend or a weak friend. You may be strong to one person and weak to another one. I hope that somebody checks on you. This is Rakai Steed, Nupefromdaville. Make sure that you like this video. Share it as much as possible. We're going to get into this adolescence thing. Leave me a comment. What you thought about this deep dive? What did you thought about denial? Any other insights? Make sure that you watch the reaction and the discussion afterwards between myself and Centel. And then what you thought about my first take, my first instant thing I thought about just the denial. That Jamie just kept denying it. He didn't do it, he didn't do it, he didn't do it. Until we see, yes, you did. And at that point, we almost are without words. We don't know what to say. You did it. We were on your side. We want to believe. We wanted to believe maybe it was somebody else. Didn't make sense that the police brought the whole SWAT team in to get you, but maybe they were wrong. Turns out they weren't. What do we say? Where do we go from here? Now, as a father, I can't turn off my love for my son. I can't turn off my love for my daughter. My son's my daughter. Cannot. And even if they did the worst thing in the world, I'm going to be there for them. But I also believe in consequence. And that's why as a parent, you have to be involved. Don't worry about you invading their privacy. Don't worry about you being all up in their shit. Get in their shit. Wouldn't you rather just them be mad at you for a little while, but being all in my business instead of having to sit down at that table like Jamie's father? If for some reason you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Watch some of these other videos. Tell me what you think. Remember, at the end of the day, we use this, but it's just as, if not more important, to use this.